James Prosser has spent over 2 decades at the intersection of media events and financial services, but his work creating MIT Live shows he's not content with the status quo. Shifting regulation, tighter margins and rising consumer expectations are pushing firms to adapt faster than ever before. Technology, particularly artificial intelligence, offers tremendous promise, but also genuine uncertainty. With the FCA taking a test and learn approach to AI regulation rather than issuing strict guardrails, firms are left navigating uncharted waters. As Commercial Director at Mortgage Strategy, James has identified the need for an honest, solution-focused conversation platform where mortgage leaders could discuss the real challenges and opportunities this new tech revolution is creating for their businesses. Let's dive right in. You're really good at conferences, but this exceeded my expectations. I'm going to embarrass you now, but it really did. You had a fantastic guest lineup and it was incredibly well attended. And you could tell as well that the audience was so desperate to understand a bit more about technology, artificial intelligence specifically. So well done. I think you tuned into the vibe of the industry. Well, what led you to create this event in the first place? When did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, no, thanks, Paul. Thanks for your words. It was amazing to see it come to life. 9th of December feels like ages ago, but in theory, it wasn't that long ago at all. But I came back into the industry in May this year, about May the 5th, 6th. The week after, I signed up and let my MD know straight away that as soon as I joined, I was going on a bit of a jolly. But it wasn't so much a jolly, it was a mental health walk, which, you're well aware of, the mimic movement, mental health in the industry. And I was fortunate enough to walk on the Monday and the Tuesday. And on the Monday, I had the pleasure of having some one-to-one time with Nicola Firth from Knowledge Bank. Yep. And along with other people, as many others as well. But Nicola and I got away from the pack. No, not meaningfully, we didn't do it on purpose, but we just separated ourselves somewhat and just got talking. I just said, what's going on in the world? Nicola launched her business at my old event, Financial Services Expo at Old Billingsgate, and I remember it well. And I was just asking her, having been out in the industry for 3 years, what's new, what's going on, what needs to be done, etc., what's not being done very well. And we sort of came across the idea of, and it was clear to see businesses like Knowledge Bank, OMS, Brain, Iris, all these other businesses, along with maybe MAP, Santander, Barclays, they're all going for technology awards, whether that be in the Mortgage Strategy Awards, British Mortgage Awards, whatever. And it was clear to see that, when you put businesses and propositions, services, or whatever you want to call it, going for for a technology award, you're not comparing apples for apples, you're comparing apples with grapefruits, which doesn't make any sense because you might win that award, but you're not winning an award against your peers necessarily. So that came out as an opportunity, which got me thinking about the Mortgage Innovation Technology Awards, which was obviously part of the day on the 9th of December. But from there, having done a bit of investigation into it a bit more, it was clear that it wasn't just an award ceremony, actually. It was more of a conference-led peer-to-peer learning event, which is exactly what it became. So, from there, we drafted in a really, really good conference producer, Olga, who then went out and did some research, and she spoke to, I think it was like yourself, Liz, Ying, etc. And Matt Lowndes, big shout out to Matt. Matt was really, really helpful and positive about this concept and this idea, because to be honest, coming back into this industry, which is awash with events, I needed to do something different, and it needed to be bigger and better. Not necessarily bigger, but better. And it just, I don't know, the torch paper was lit, and it just it went off.
Did it surprise you that?
Yes.
Exactly. And I feel the same. Is that as you say, originally you were thinking, right, let's create an awards event. Understandably, good idea from a business point of view, helps the industry shout about a different facet of it. But it quickly flipped into the conference, and the conference sort of overtook the awards to
It did.
a certain extent, really.
Yeah.
To be fair, which is great, I thought. And also, you just touched on there in respect of the conference itself. You built MIT Live as like an antidote, really, to a standard conference. But what do you think was broken about the old format, and what did you do differently to force better conversations?
There's just like I sort of hinted at just then, that this industry is awash with events, whether it's events led by media and events companies like emap, who I work for, and my rivals, etc., who are all doing great events, as are the networks, distributors. It's just that it's something that has just exploded in the 25 years that I've been around this industry. It's gone from a handful of events. Mortgage Business Expo used to be 2-day event in Earl's Court. Took over the whole of it. You remember, there was the likes of lenders having double-tiered stands. There was double-decker buses. There was all this kind of thing. A lot of that kind of event has gone, but conferences, road shows, etc., are still happening, are still taking place. And my personal opinion is there's too many. Brokers, they're just too many. So I needed to do something different, and I hadn't really come up with the blueprint for what that could be. But I knew if I could bring a group of people together, an advisory panel, board, or the A team is what I wanted to call it originally, and to get the industry talking and coming up with the themes and the topics, etc. I knew then it would create momentum and create energy and create movement.
Well, that leads me onto my next question quite nicely, really. So the actual question is what were the specific choices you made that created that energy and real collaboration rather than polite networking? I think you've almost answered it already, but do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, it was created for the industry by the industry. It really, really was. I haven't been around the industry for the last 3 years, so I couldn't immediately come back and say this needs to be done. It needed to be something that was created and conceived from leading specialists in this industry and people that are on the pulse of innovation and technology in this industry and driving it forward. And it really was. You look at that advisory panel. There's not just brokers. There's lenders. There's distributors. There's fintech businesses. There's everyone across the whole ecosystem. And that was it, getting those ideas flowing, creating topics, doing something different, lightning talks, not just PowerPoint presentations, really doing something different. I mean, you just mentioned Liz Sims. Liz absolutely killed it, with her 10 minutes that she had. I think she delivered something that every broker in that room needs, and the information. And personally, I've experienced that knowledge from Liz firsthand. She helped me with a personal sort of lifestyle website that I was looking at launching, and saved me £10,000 and many months of waiting for something to be created. So there was that. There was also stepping away from I don't know, hotels just outside of Gatwick or Heathrow. It was a venue, bespoke venue in the middle of London, St Paul's. You're in the middle of the city. They are convened, I think, one of the best venues in the UK, if not across. They're over in the US as well, but they come with a price tag. So it was hard because we were still building sponsorship revenue when we signed that venue. And to be honest, I asked my MD to throw the dice, because I really believed by having a venue like that assigned to the event, that we could really also create the momentum that we needed, and the rest of the sponsorship would follow.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if you've got some sort of bot in my computer, because you haven't seen the questions I'm asking you now. But that also was my next question, was how much did the venue contribute? Because I've been there a few times, and I think it's an incredible venue for this sort of this occasion. And I would agree, being in central London, good transport links.
Yeah.
and that just the actual the venue itself sort of added to the occasion.
Yeah, the venue was key. It was, like I say, it was a big risk. I asked my MD to take a punt on it, and I believed in it, and I'm so glad we did. It did come with a price tag, and we've got to be careful of that for next year, and in terms of how we budget. But yeah, bigger and better. I see this developing into a much bigger event in 2026.
Yeah. What was clearly adamant for me, and as you know, I'm a bit of an AI geek. Um, I've been enjoying the ride for the last couple of years, and I understand the challenges as well as the benefits to it. But it was so clear to see the need and the requirement for the industry to level up when it comes to AI, to understand more. So many people I spoke to said, "Well, I know a bit, but I really need to know more." Is that a similar experience for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying that. That's what created the concept, really. Like you say, people wanted to know more. I think the survey said that people feel like they need to know. That was done one of the panel sessions, that they know a little bit but need to know a lot more in terms of coming forward. Personally, I've used AI in my life in the last sort of 12 months. It's just it's taken me to a different level. What would have taken, a day or two now is taking 10, 15 minutes in the morning. It's, it's incredible. I'm a massive believer in AI. It's not going away. It's only going to get bigger. And used rightly, you can, really elevate yourself no matter what role, even in the role that I'm in currently at the moment, in an events and publishing role. It's definitely helped me, in terms of my thinking, my thought process. When I left Nicola that day, I was on ChatGPT that night and formulating ideas and concepts and creating it. And I'm not ashamed to say some of the stuff you probably seen on the website and even on the day was created by using AI. It was the reason behind the event.
And by having events like these, you're helping control the narrative in the industry, because there's been a lot of fear about AI taking jobs, especially sort of broker jobs, and AI taking over underwriting, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things I took away from that day, and I believe it, whether that's just mortgage specific or across the world of society, is AI is not going to replace brokers, but the brokers that use AI will replace those brokers that don't.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I know you're already planning next year, 2026. If you're being brutally honest, what are the three things you'd keep exactly the same, and the three that you would change immediately?
Wow. I would change the date potentially. I would move out of December. I'm not necessarily going to say when I would go, when I would go for, because we're working that on that at the moment. I will keep the advisory board angle, so that it's peer-to-peer learning, because I think that's super important and has really helped us. I've just been raving about the venue, but I could potentially look at changing that because of the cost, unfortunately. Not to say that we were downsized in any sense, but I think we're also we might be even bigger next year. So the venue that we've got at the moment with Convene, it might be slightly smaller. What else would I change? It was a long day. I've got a huge idea. It's a whopper. You're invited to find out more about it in February, where we're coming together to talk more about that. And I would keep the energy, but I would spark it even more. And having worked in events for many years, I know what works and what doesn't work. And the tick boxes were ticked. The boxes were ticked in terms of what will make a good event. What really nailed it, and which is out of my, I guess, knowledge and landscape, especially not being in the industry for the last 3 years, was the content. And the amount of people that have been talking, whether directly to me or I've seen on social media posts, or that even emails from people I didn't know but who attended the event, it was the content that absolutely nailed it. And I'm proud. I'm really so proud to come back with that first event mortgage strategy needed this. It needed a footprint on the event space and in terms of conferences, etc. And we did that, and I'm really proud. And it's something now we're gonna grow on and build and build.
And you had some really heavyweight panelists there. There's no doubt about that.
I know,
So well
right?
done in
Yeah,
that respect. As you know, I've been working with Jamie Lawless and the fabulous guys over at Lendwell,
indeed.
the AI native platform. I've learnt a huge amount, had a lot of fun along the way as well, and I was delighted because they were inundated with people wanting to know more about them and what
Yeah,
they offer. So it was fantastic for them. So I think that people looking to break into the space, they need to be speaking with you now.
absolutely. I
Getting
had
involved.
in the last 6 weeks leading up to the event, I had so many businesses coming for me, whether usually for a speaking slot, first of all, because they see that as a free entry and a free ride. And then, then in terms of sponsorship. So I've got no reason to doubt, the sponsors that we had this year won't be coming on board again next year. But if not, additionally, there's a lot more as well. And how I can do that, that was then using my events head and creating different zones, I guess, different areas, whether that's fintech, startups, scale ups,
Mm.
that kind of stuff. And I must admit, I mean, one of the highlights for me was that Shark's Den session that we did with the four entrepreneurs and doing that kind of stuff. This industry hasn't seen that kind of TEDx or Dragon's Den, that kind of sessions going on. It was so exciting, and in January 1 was absolutely made up. And I guess from that, I know we're not necessarily specifically talking about my next gen program as well, but the next generation mortgage strategy program that we've created as well. I'm just so proud because
Yeah.
when I log on, if I go on LinkedIn after this call, I can see the cohort have changed their banners, they've changed their profiles. This is something that's going to enhance their job,
Yeah.
and their career and themselves in the years to come. And it's just come from taking a few years out of the industry. I needed to, I was on burnout and breakdown, and just to see how other industries are doing things differently. And I've not recreated the wheel by any means, but I've dropped in some good ideas and they've just flourished. And
Mm.
I hope to build on them next year.
And quite often it can be beneficial where you can zoom out like that,
Mm,
and you can take that high level view. It helps give you clarity for when you zoom back in again, isn't it?
it does, yeah, definitely.
So the keynote framed digital transformation as operational and cultural. In your view, and with your lengthy experience in the industry, what is the cultural habit that kills innovation in mortgage firms, and what do you think replaces it?
Wow. Toughie. I don't know. Innovation is key in any industry.
We've talked about it a lot for so many years, but I only really feel that it's been recently that we've seen proper innovation. People were going to shout me down for that, but
Mm,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
But also, I think that there is some reinventing the wheel
yeah, no,
when you
absolutely.
talk about APIs from sourcing systems into lenders. And one large sourcing system said to me, "Oh, Paul, it's just the generic application form, isn't it?" And this was something that we were all working towards as an industry before the credit crunch, if you remember. And
Absolutely.
it was all about the generic application form. Then that all went away. Credit crunch, like sort of Mad Max land, and the world starts again. So if you had to place a bet on one trend that will matter most in the next 18, 24 months, what is it, and what should a sensible firm start doing to stay ahead?
Invest in technology. That's not going away. It's getting bigger. It's getting better. And I think the smarter firms are already on top of that and using it. I think you mentioned the guys at Lenwell. Looking at businesses like that and having those conversations early and working out actually how that can benefit your business, how it could save money, but also create more revenue. I put as much money as you can aside, and use that sensibly. Whether save for the future, but invest in the future, and investing in technology, especially with the way it's going, you'll definitely benefit from. I mean, our landscape in the next 18 to 24 months is going to be, so different. If we did this call in 12 months time, there's going to be so many differences that have happened in the next 12 months that we're going to be in a different landscape. I think the ecosystem is going to be different. I think in an industry that's regulated, that's going to be quite challenging, because it could be holding us back. I think it was Yaza from MAB and other speakers and topics that were mentioned is, the banking world, open banking, etc., have already kind of ahead of the mortgage world, and learning from them and seeing it happen. But yeah, technology, invest, because I think it's super important.
I'm really excited about 2026. I think that a lot of good stuff's going to happen, and it sounds like as well from a business point of view, there's a lot of business to be done. There's quite a lot of mortgages coming up for the end of their fixed rate and that sort of thing. So hopefully it's going to be a bumper one for the industry. But I've got to say, James, thank you for organising the event. I think it was fantastic, and clearly there is a desire to repeat next year, but do and more regular things as well, events. So well done.
Absolutely, thank you, mate. No, appreciate that. Thanks for being part of it as well. We've mentioned quite a few others as well, but shout out to the advisory board that it's really helped it. Next year is going to be bigger, better, and I can't wait to see where it goes.